This is a story that took place in a land far, far away. A land where the sun blazed hot and strong, and the people yearned for justice, for freedom, for a taste of the good life. Oh, let's paint a picture of a man. Let's call him Simon. He was a man of passion. His eyes burned with the fire of 1,000 suns. His voice echoed with the strength of 10. He walked with purpose through the crowded streets, his every step firm, his gaze steady. And wherever he went, people listened. They hung on his every word because Simon spoke their language, the language of freedom. He talked about throwing off the shackles of oppression, about breaking the chains that bound them, about rising up against those who had kept them down for too long. One day, Simon found himself amidst a bustling crowd. The air crackled with energy as people from all walks of life came together. There were merchants with their colorful wares, farmers with baskets overflowing with fresh produce, and artisans displaying their exquisite crafts. Amidst this vibrant chaos, Simon stood out like a beacon. As always, he captivated the crowd, his words hitting home like arrows of truth. He urged them to fight for their rights, to stand up against injustice. Each word that left his mouth fueled the flames of rebellion in the hearts of the people. But something stirred within him, a feeling he couldn't quite place. Was it curiosity? Was it a hint of doubt? Or was it a yearning for something more, something beyond the clamor for freedom? Simon felt an unexpected tug in his chest, drawing him away from the crowd and towards a different kind of gathering. In a quiet corner of the marketplace, nestled amidst the vibrant chaos, there was a group of people sitting in a circle. Their demeanors were calm, their voices soft, yet their words held a profound weight. He noticed a man in the center, someone who exuded an otherworldly serenity. This man wasn't like any other Simon had seen. There was a gentleness about him, a tranquility that seemed to envelop everyone around. And as Simon stood there observing, he couldn't help but wonder, who is this man? What is he saying? As if sensing Simon's presence, the man turned, his eyes locking onto Simon's. In that instant, something shifted. It was as though the man had seen right through Simon's passionate exterior, understanding the turmoil that lay beneath. With a serene smile gracing his lips, the man rose, his movements fluid and graceful. He extended an invitation, beckoning Simon to join the circle. Simon hesitated, torn between his lifelong pursuit of freedom through rebellion and the inexplicable pull towards this man and his teachings. But curiosity got the better of him. He decided to step into the circle. As he did, the world seemed to hush. All eyes were on him, expectant, curious. The man, noticing Simon's discomfort, spoke, his voice resonating with warmth and understanding. "You are tired, Simon," he said, his words echoing in Simon's soul. "You have fought hard and long for your people, for your beliefs." Simon looked up, startled. How did this man know him? Had he been watching him? The man continued, his gaze unwavering. "You yearn for a better world, a world free from oppression, free from hatred." Simon felt a lump forming in his throat. "Yes," he thought. "How did you know?" The man's eyes twinkled with kindness. "But there is another way," he said, "a path less traveled, a journey of the heart." Simon frowned, confused. What did he mean? The man held out a hand, palm up, fingers relaxed. "Come with me," he invited, "and I will show you a kingdom that is not built on swords or shields, but on love, on forgiveness, on peace." Simon stared at the outstretched hand, torn between his old convictions and the man's intriguing offer. In that moment, he knew his life was about to change. He took the man's hand, and with that simple gesture, he stepped onto a path that would lead him to a destiny he could have never imagined. And so began Simon's journey under the guidance of this peaceful teacher. He traveled with the 12, learning from their teachings, witnessing their miracles, and most importantly, experiencing a side of humanity he had never known existed. The teacher spoke of turning the other cheek, of loving one's enemies, of seeking peace, not just freedom. These concepts were foreign to Simon, yet they resonated with a part of him that had been dormant for so long. As days turned into weeks, Simon found himself drawn deeper into the teacher's way. His heart softening, his anger dissipating, began to see the oppressors not as unassailable figures of authority, but as human beings capable of change, capable of redemption. This realization brought him a sense of calm he had never known. Then one day, the unthinkable happened. The teacher was arrested, accused of blasphemy, of claiming to be the Messiah. Simon watched helplessly as they led the teacher away, his face ashen, his eyes filled with sadness. In that moment, Simon knew he had a choice to make. Would he go back to his old ways, to the fiery rhetoric of revolution? Or would he stay true to the teachings of the one who had shown him the path of peace? As the trial commenced, Simon found himself among the crowd, listening intently to the accusations being hurled at the teacher. The religious leaders condemned the teacher, twisting his words, distorting his teachings. Simon felt a surge of anger rising within him. He wanted to shout, to defend the teacher, but he held back. Dead, he observed, he listened, trying to understand. Suddenly, the teacher spoke, his voice echoing with power and conviction. "My kingdom is not of this world," he declared. "If my kingdom were of this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being crucified." These words struck a chord deep within Simon. He realized the magnitude of the choice he had to make. After the trial, Simon saw the soldiers leading the teacher out of the city. He knew where they were going, for he had heard the rumors. He followed from a distance, his heart heavy. When he reached the hill of Golgotha, he saw the crucifixion, the pain etched on the teacher's face. In that moment, Simon's resolve broke. He fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. He cried out, not for himself, but for the suffering he had inflicted upon others in the name of freedom. He remembered the words of the teacher, "Love your enemies," and he realized the depth of those words. Love those who hate you. Forgive those who have wronged you. Seek peace, not just freedom. As Simon wrestled with his emotions, he saw something that stopped him in his tracks. The mother of the thief, crucified beside the teacher, approached them. She carried food and water, tending to both the crucified men. Simon watched in awe. This woman wasn't cursing the Roman soldiers. She wasn't consumed with vengeance. She was focused on her son. In that moment, Simon understood what it meant to be truly free. It wasn't about the absence of chains or the overthrow of oppressive rulers. It was about the freedom of the heart, the liberation of the soul. It was about choosing love over hate, forgiveness over vengeance, peace over conflict. With newfound clarity, Simon wiped his tears, his eyes fixed on the crucified figure before him. He knew in that moment that his journey wasn't over. The teacher may be gone, but his teachings, his example, his love, these would continue to guide him. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Simon traveled far and wide, carrying the message of hope, the promise of freedom, not of the sword, but of the spirit. He stood in the ancient marketplace, his voice ringing with conviction. "Why do you live in fear?" he asked the crowd, his eyes blazing with fervor. "Why do you let the chains of oppression hold you?" The people looked up, their faces etched with years of suffering. Simon continued, "The kingdom of God is within you. It is in your hearts. It is time to break the chains of fear, to cast off the shackles of hate. It is time to rise and claim your freedom." As he spoke, the people stirred, their spirits lifting. They had heard many calls for freedom, but Simon's was different. It was born out of pain, tempered by sacrifice, and fueled by an unwavering belief in the inherent goodness of humanity. Simon looked out over the vast expanse of the desert hills. The sun rising over the horizon, casting long shadows that stretched towards the new day. In the distance, a small village huddled amidst the sand dunes, its thatched huts whispering stories of resilience. This was the new land, the land that Simon had reached after months of arduous travel. He had walked through scorching deserts, climbed treacherous mountains, and traversed dense forests, all to spread the message of hope, to kindle the flame of freedom in the hearts of those who had known only despair. And as he stood there, watching the sun paint the sky in hues of gold and crimson, he knew that his journey was far from over. There were more villages to reach, more hearts to touch, more souls to set free. He was no longer just Simon the Zealot, the revolutionary, the warrior of freedom. He was Simon, the herald of a new dawn, the harbinger of peace.